I'm Sustainability Director of Tarmac. Tarmac's part of the CRH group, and CRH is one of the top 3 building products producers in the world. In the UK, we supply products like aggregates, asphalt, concrete, other building products and road contracting services to some of the most complex and iconic infrastructure projects that we undertake, as well as the many smaller projects that take place up and down the country each day. So we've heard how important infrastructure is for productivity, competitiveness, jobs, growth and quality of life. And we've also heard about infrastructure's contribution to UK's greenhouse gas emissions. So I don't need to do the Green Construction Board bit because Mike's done it, and the infrastructure carbon review. But the sorts of figures are that infrastructure is associated with around 50% of the UK's greenhouse gas emissions. So it's obviously important that we all, as a sector, come together to build the most efficient, sustainable, low-carbon infrastructure that we can. In doing that, we work together as an industry and show the leadership that Mike suggested. So in terms of carbon, which the focus has been on in the debate so far, I think Mike opened that up slightly to sustainability issues in general. I think we need to consider the environmental, social and economic impacts of our infrastructure as well as just carbon. And to talk about some of the issues which I think are important to make infrastructure more sustainable, I've just picked out 5, which I'll talk briefly about. So the first is investment confidence. So this is quite important because we're looking at an increase in infrastructure activity which goes well beyond what's been delivered in recent years. And so to deliver that in the most sustainable way, we need to invest in skills, in manufacturing facilities and technologies. And so we need to give the sector confidence that the National Infrastructure Plan will be delivered on the ground and roughly on time. And also we need to make the UK an attractive place to have that investment. The second area is whole life thinking. So things like cost of construction, embodied carbon, other sustainability criteria and performances at point of construction are very important parameters. But again, as Mike said, it's the whole life performance which is really important. I've got a small example of that. So on Oxford Street, just down the road, Westminster City Council used to use conventional asphalt, but because you've got very slow moving, heavy, dense traffic, the asphalt used to break down, so they were having to repair or replace it every 3 months with the associated traffic problems. So we came to them with a solution called Ultilayer. That's not important. It's just the important bit is that solution had 33% higher embodied carbon after installation. But 7 years later, the surface is still down, still performing very well. So over the course of the whole life of that project, there's been something like a 90% reduction in carbon emissions. Okay, so that's just a good example of how we need to incentivize whole life costing, whole life carbon and whole life sustainability performance. The next point I'd like to make is it's everyone's responsibility to take action on sustainability. Okay, so as a business, we've got comprehensive sustainability strategy that's in our vision and embedded throughout the organisation with ambitious targets and commitments. And in terms of our whole life approach, we try and explain it to people through what we call the 4 ins. Okay, and the reason for going through this briefly is to explain the huge amount of work that's already active in the sector. So the first in we call is inbuilt, and this is everything we can do to improve the sustainability of our products and solutions up to the point of delivery to the customer. And that ranges for things like making sure the materials are responsibly sourced, our environmental stewardship, reducing energy waste and water, using waste and secondary materials from other industries. And to show you the scale of that, last year we used 7.7 million tonnes of waste and secondary materials as raw materials and fuels in our processes. We also look at how we can develop and design more sustainable products. So these are things like using secondary materials in concrete to reduce its carbon footprint, recycling old road surfaces back into new asphalt, and a whole load of others that I could talk about, like low temperature asphalt, which is a much lower carbon product. We also look, though, beyond our operations at how our products can improve the sustainability of the construction process itself by making things faster, making things safer, making things that produce less waste. We look at in use how our products can help the sustainability performance of the infrastructure during its lifetime. So that's things like durability, low maintenance, using the thermal mass benefits of concrete to reduce energy requirements in buildings. It's making porous asphalts and porous concretes, which help with flood management, and also systems for flood defences. Okay. And the final element is in support, and this is really important because there are a whole load of solutions out there, but they're not necessarily well understood by the architects and designers who are producing the infrastructure. Okay, so we put a lot of information out to help people design better. One of those areas is things like carbon footprints, and you might be interested to know the scale of the activity now on carbon footprinting. So last year we responded to 3,000 requests for carbon footprints for products. The fourth area I want to just cover briefly is collaboration. Mike touched on this again. Really important. We work with companies like Jacobs and Skanska, so our sustainability strategies are aligned. We come together to work on things like the Supply Chain Sustainability School, which Skanska were active in setting up and we're a partner in. And that school is a free to access for anyone in the construction sector and broader. And it helps them understand what sustainability is about and how they can become a more sustainable business. Okay. And we also work together, for example, on innovation, as Mike mentioned. So we've got a project running at the moment on 3D printing to see if that can create some more sustainable opportunities in the future. But I've just pulled out one example here to show you the power of supply chain collaboration. We can do a lot on our own, but we do much more when we work in collaboration. This is an example of a project that we ran with Costains, and it's the Heysham M6 link road. And just to give you the highlights, we approached the project in a completely different way than normal. It was based very much on mutual trust and shared objectives. And the outputs of it have been significant. Because of that early supply chain engagement, we were able to redesign their original concept for the road. And through shared logistics understanding, we delivered the savings that you can see on the slide there. They equate to something like 200,000 tonnes of aggregates taken out of the scheme, 9,000 metre cubed less concrete used, 21% lower carbon footprint. Okay. And the final area I want to mention is smart technology, digital information, smart cities. We see an explosion of information and data becoming available to us, and there's huge opportunities in how we can use that information to build more sustainably. Building information modelling for actual buildings and equivalent systems for data in roads that we're working on are bringing huge benefits. And we're already converting our products into electronic representations so they can be clicked and dragged into 3D models. And those models can mean that you can build and demolish infrastructure several times virtually before you do it in reality. And there's huge opportunities for efficiencies there.